Hey Tabitha, I'm going to take a look at your assignment 2 and assignment 3 in this crit, and just starting off, when you put both of these guys on the same JPEG, which I appreciate you doing a lot, just try and use the full extent of your 800 by 600 area that you have. You've got a lot of room on the top and the bottom that I think you could expand the size of these a little bit more than what you have it. And the bigger I have these within the constraints of the 800 by 600, the better, because it just gives me a better opportunity of seeing how the materials are being used. So for me, like, the color swatches on the right, or on the left, I'm sorry, are just a little bit too small to see any colored pencil work, and where I'm almost kind of questioning whether there is colored pencil work being put down here or not. It almost feels like a marker on top of marker, and this is something that you don't really want me to be questioning. You know what I mean? Like, you want everything to be very clear to the viewer. So I think being able to have a little bit of a larger viewing space would be helpful. Although I will say this one, you're doing exactly that. You're utilizing the full extent of the page, which is great. And I can see these, I think, very well. The quality of the scans is great, and I can see the technique in place, but these guys are just a little bit on the small side. So I think aside from that, aside from not really being sure what is the colored pencil, or if there is any colored pencil, which I'm thinking that there is not, you'll want to be using that, and especially be using a white colored pencil to kind of play around with over top of these swatches. These swatches should really all be color also, and just be trying different techniques with the colored pencil over top of kind of a flat wash, which I think you have in some of these. But, you know, see what white does. See what, if you have say a green, or I'm sorry, say you have a yellow swatch here, what happens when you apply kind of blue over top of it? What sort of color changes do you get? You know, see what white does on certain values and see if you can create gradients. That's kind of the thing we're looking for, where that mixed media of colored pencil and marker are in play. These guys look good though. The blind technique looks especially good, and we're seeing very, very good blind technique in both of these assignments, where I think you're doing a great job of keeping very, very consistent movement with the stroke. There's very few white gaps in both of these assignments, and I think that even these will start to minimize as you keep working through the process. I think you can try to get a little bit closer to your cut, or make your cut a little bit wider if you can, because we're getting just a tiny bit of stair stepping on the edges of some of the angled shapes. But I'd say overall this is a really, really strong blind technique showing. The side to side, I think, in both cases look good, but I do think they could use more saturation. I think especially the green one, you could go in and just try and fill more. You know, just keep scrubbing away at the paper with that marker until the paper doesn't really take any more. It's not too noticeable in the smaller shapes, but when you get to some of these larger size shapes where you have a lot more area to cover, you can tell that there's kind of a texture going on with these guys. You know, I can see where marker is overlapping and creating these thin lines. I can see movement and mark making in the blue one, and this isn't something we want to see when you're doing the side to side. It should be a lot more even and smooth in terms of the coverage. And this is generally just a saturation issue, where I think you have to just go in with the marker a little bit more, just a little slower, and just try to fill in the shape a little bit slower so that you get more ink into the paper. And it's really nothing more than I think that. You're doing a great job with the edge quality of this, and with both of these actually. You know, you're doing a great job with blind and with the side to side of keeping nice kind of sharp corners and very straight edges. And as we move into the more complicated shapes, I thought you did a great job of cutting your edges, especially with the circles, but also maintaining those nice sharp edges and those nice straight lines along the shapes. So that, I think, is also just a great thing to see. I'd say overall both of these assignments feel very strong to me. I think there's a few kind of things here and there where maybe you weren't quite clear on the guidelines, but otherwise it's just a really terrific start.